And Les, we left talking about subrogation, and that's a big
Right.
fancy word of, hey, you owe me some money.
Yeah, you know, I know we kind of got up against that break and might have rushed through it a little bit, but, you know, I'd mentioned if you get a settlement or if you settle your case, that could trigger some obligations. This is what I'm talking about. Anytime you settle a case, the presumption is some of that money was used for medical expenses. And if you have insurance, whether it's, again, TRICARE, Medicare, if they paid for that medical treatment or some of that medical treatment, under federal law, under state law, by contract, if you have a private health policy, there's a provision in there called a subrogation provision or a reimbursement provision that says if you get money for bills that we paid, you have to pay us back. And if you don't pay us back, and there's a formula they use, and we can oftentimes negotiate those liens down, but if you don't pay those back, you subject yourself to being sued for infringing or violating their right of subrogation. Another thing, and I know we're going to talk about uninsured motorists here in a second, but uninsured motorist coverage is a type of coverage that you buy in the event you're hit by somebody, injured by somebody that doesn't have insurance or maybe doesn't have enough coverage to fully compensate you for your claim. If you're handling your case by yourself and you settle with a at-fault driver and you have uninsured motorist coverage, if you don't follow some very specific steps, you waive your right to that uninsured motorist coverage. You've paid a premium for it, you've bought it in case of, hey, I got hit by somebody that doesn't have coverage, and by the way, that's a very high likelihood in Florida.
Yeah.
Because Florida doesn't require bodily injury liability coverage.
Are we the only state now?
I think I think there's one other state, but I think there's some sort of modification on it. Yeah, but Florida doesn't require people to carry insurance to compensate people if they cause a wreck and injure them. And so that's probably 25, 30% of the drivers out there right now.
Uninsured motorists is extremely inexpensive too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you do the same thing. I carry uninsured motorists. I carry high limits, not because, you know, I'm looking out for myself.
Yeah.
And just like you are too, if something were to happen to me, if something were to happen to you, you know, we carry this type of coverage because I'm expecting if a wreck happens, I'm not going to rely on that other person to take care of me.
But you know, Les, we've had a lot of clients that say, I don't want to turn this into my own insurance, or I don't want to turn it into my own health care insurance. Right. Shouldn't they pay? And that kind of leads us into Jason's question that we just had someone email us also. If we can pull Jason's question up here just a second, talk about a tooth issue. My friend was driving and someone hit us. I don't remember anything from the wreck or about 20 minutes after. I had scratches and bruises from the seatbelt and airbag. I went to the dentist for a chipped tooth. The other driver admitted fault. Her insurance agent said they would pay for the dentist and give me an extra $200 if I would sign everything. He wanted me to come in right away and get it over with. I have not gone yet. Is $200 a normal amount, or should I ask for more? And so, you know, first off, you know, does Jason have health insurance that'll fix his tooth versus having to worry about somebody else nickel and diming him? But more importantly, you know, it sounds like he's got a closed head injury if he lost consciousness.
I mean, very well could.
And so he's got a lot more going on there. And so, you know, is he thinking clearly? Is he not? But, you know, we can get into the more specifics in just a second. But leading into it, we're talking about people are really reluctant to notify their own insurance company that something happened, whether it's health insurance or their own car insurance company. Now, we allow our clients to, you know, say, hey, put your insurance companies on notice. Make sure that we have a claim number. If you don't, we'll do it right away. But if it's the other person's, you don't. But, you know, talk about the health insurance aspect of it.
Well, you know, the question about I don't want to use my insurance, I don't want my premiums to go up. The first thing I ask them, and I try to do it very nicely, is why are you paying for it then? Yeah. I mean, you've got a product out there, you pay a premium for this coverage in case something happens.
And it's not a chargeable event either.
It's not a chargeable event if it's not your fault. A chargeable event means they're not supposed to raise your premium if you end up having to use your insurance coverage for something that you did not cause. Now, if you run into somebody, your premiums are probably going to go up because you caused the wreck. But if somebody hits you, you're sitting at a light, you get rear-ended, you have health insurance, you paid a premium, or you're getting a benefit through your employer, use it. You have uninsured motorist coverage, use it. You know, you have PIP insurance, you have to use it. Right. Because state law says you have to use that. So a lot of times people are like, I don't want to use my insurance. And you have to say, well, you know, in this case, you actually have to, because, or you can decide to be self-insured for the first 10.
Because it would insulate Jason right here from having to feel like he's begging someone to pay him $200 to fix his tooth. So let's take Jason's analysis here. He had a closed head injury. He couldn't remember anything for at least 20 minutes. And he's not at fault. The other person has already admitted fault.
Right.
I mean, this is a
$200 is laughable. I mean,
know.
it just, I mean,
well, typically there's something else wrong too, though.
yeah, there's a lot going on there. The reason they want to get him in quickly is because they know that if they can get him to sign that release and take that money, then they're done. I mean, they have extinguished everything that could happen to their insured. Now, it's in their insured's interest. It's in their interest because they get out super cheap. But in this particular case, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like you said, the nature of the injury, the extent of the injury. We don't even know how much coverage this other person has. We don't know if Jason has uninsured motorist coverage under his own policy. We don't know if his friend who he was riding with has uninsured motorist coverage. We don't know if the person that hit him was maybe driving for Uber or Lyft or doing DoorDash or something that would expose another commercial policy. So there's so many things you have to look at, and that when we get involved, we start asking those questions. We look at that. Most people don't even think about it, and you understand why, because they don't do it every day. But yeah, Jason, in that particular case, there's a lot of things going on there on the injury side and on the coverage side. Liability sounds like it's pretty locked in.
Well,
if you got an admission,
it's not, he's admitting to it. So
I mean, but everything else, I'm like, there's a lot to work with, and you know, we like to say speed is king around the office. We're referring to getting out, getting the evidence, getting everything locked down, doing everything we can as quickly as possible. But, you know, this is the type of situation where speed, you don't want to rush in and go sign something when you don't even know what the full diagnosis is.
Well, you know, Les, a lot of individuals, they're nervous, you know, can't pay their, you know, their rent, their mortgage, car payment if they can't go to work, and they're racing to get back to work. And so they're trying to just piece it all back together the best they can. Maybe, you know, he knew the other guy that hit him or something, or somebody's trying to do him a favor. And I agree with you, $200 is laughable, you know, and you have benefits typically more likely than not, especially if you're in the state of Florida, that you can get more paid than just $200.
Well, and the thing is, you know, you drive past a lawyer's office, you look at the letterhead, you see these words up there, attorneys and counselors, right? So, and we really, you know, we talk about, we wear two different hats sometimes. Our attorney hat, we're your advocate. We're going out, we're speaking for you, we're fighting for you, we're advocating for your claim. But sometimes we have to put that counselor hat on when we're talking to the people, and they come in the same thing. Well, how am I going to get to work? Or I can't pay my bill. Talk with an attorney. There are numerous resources out there that we're able to incorporate into not just handling the claim to trying to get you the best possible recovery, but giving you good advice, and also, you know, keeping the collectors at bay. You know, the bill collectors that come in and want to turn you over to collection and ruin your credit, sometimes we can help with that. Finding some way to kind of have a stopgap on some income loss. There are numerous ways, but you got to talk to an attorney to find out what those resources are.
And local medical providers, if they know that you're represented by an attorney, a lot of times they will back off from any type of collection efforts from you because they know they've dealt with our firm in the past, and more likely than not, if they can just hang on and wait, they'll get paid at some point on the case.
And the best thing about it is it doesn't cost them a dime.
No.
It doesn't cost you a dime to come talk to us. I mean, we work on a contingency fee basis. So, you know, like they say, if we don't win, we don't get paid.
Yeah.
If you don't win, we don't get paid.
And you don't owe us a dollar.
And you don't owe us a dollar unless we're able to successfully recover on your case.